Good day, children and parents. Today we're going to look at multiplication using rounding off. So what is very important is that you need to know how to round off to 10, 100 and 1,000, and you need to know your tables. Okay, so I'm looking at a extract or a piece from the DBE book, and this is on page 92. So if you can open up your DBE book on page 92. Okay, right, so it says here, if we want to multiply numbers quickly without getting the exact answer, we can round off and then multiply. So this is got to do with estimating. Okay, so we are multiplying, but we are using rounding off to get an estimated or the closest answer to the real one. So we're not calculating the real answer. So if we look at this one, it says here, give the approximate answer by rounding off both numbers 2, and in the first column you need to round off to the nearest 10, the second column to the nearest 100, and the third column to the nearest 1,000. Okay, so when we are rounding off, we use the rounding off sign. So we're going to round these two numbers off to the nearest 10. So when we round off to the nearest 10, we look at the tens, but the units will indicate whether the 10 will change or not. Okay, so the tens in this case is 40, and the tens in this case is 30, and then the unit here is 5, and the unit there is 2. So when we round off to the nearest 10, if the unit, the digit is a 5, 6, 7, 8 or a 9, that means that the number is going to round up to the next 10. And if the number is 4, 3, 2, and 1, then it will stay the same. So if we round 45 off to the nearest 10, your answer will be 50, because the 5 will make the 40 become the next 10. Okay, so multiply with, and then 32. The 2 is the indicator, which tells us if the 10 is going to change or not. The 2 is going to cause the 3 to stay the same. Okay, so your answer here will be 30. And now you can just multiply the 2. So 5 times 3 is 15, and your answer will have 2 zeros in it. So 15 with 2 zeros is 1,500. Right, now we're going to take the next one and we multiply it to the nearest 100. Again, use the rounding off sign. And now we're going to look at the 100. So here it is 400 and there is 300. And the tens will now be the indicators, will now tell us if the number is going to round up or stay the same. Okay, so if we look at 450, the digit here is 5. So if the digit is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then the number will go up. So the 400 will become 500. Okay. Then we've got 320. So the digit here is a 2, or we can say 20 causes the 100 to stay the same. And then we just multiply again. 5 times 3 is 15, and our answer will have 1, 2, 3, 4 answer, 4 zeros. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 space 4 zeros, and 3 times 5 is 15. So we write 150,000. Then we reach the last one. So to the nearest 1,000. You will see we are using the same digit the whole time. Okay, so when we round off to the nearest thousands, identify the thousands. In this case, it's 4,000. So the hundreds now will tell us what will happen. So in the hundreds place, there's a 5, or you can say the 100 is 500, which means it's going to round up to the next 1,000. So this will be 5,000 times, and then the 3,000 is the one that's going to change or stay the same, and the hundreds will say to us whether it's going to change or not. Okay, so it's 200, or the digit is 2, which means the 3 or the 3,000 will stay the same. Okay, so this equals, now 5 times 3 is 15 again, and your answer will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits in it. So it's 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits, zeros. So that means this is 15 million. Right, so I'm still on page 92, and I'm going to go down the page, and we're going to look at the first question. I have selected these questions from the book to explain the questions, because each one of them, they are different, and so you're going to use different methods with each one of them. So it says here, multiply the numbers by rounding off the first number to the nearest 1,000, okay, and the second number to the nearest 100. So it's very important that you pay attention to the instruction, okay, and read carefully. So let's look at the example here. 4,362 times 108. So if I round 4,362 off to the nearest 1,000, I'm looking at my thousands, which is a 4,000, and the 100 is the indicator, the 300, which tells me it's going to stay the same, because you have to remember the numbers. 4, 3, 2, and 1 makes the digits stay the same. Okay, so you've got 4,000. Then 108 round off to the nearest 100 is 100, and then you multiply the two. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros in your answer, and 1 times 4 is 4. So you have 4 and 5 zeros, which makes 400,000. Okay, now we're going to apply this method to the example. So remember, round off to the nearest 1,000, and then the second number to the nearest 100. So we identify the thousands in the number, and then we look at the 100. So the 1,000 is 2,000 and the 100 is 700. So that means the 2 is going to change to 3, or you're going to say it's going to round up to the next 1,000, which is 3,000. Okay, times, and then round off to the nearest 100. So the 100 is 300, and the tens will be the indicator, which is 6 or 60, you can say, and that tells me it's going to round up to 400. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply. 3 times 4 is 12, and my answer will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, 1, 2, 3, leave the space, 4, 5 zeros, and then 12. So 1,200,000. Now we go to the next example. This is number 3, and that is still on page 92. Okay. In this example, it says multiply the numbers by rounding off the first number to the nearest, and there's a typing error in your TBE book. This must not say 100, it must say 1,000. Okay, so I'm going to read it again. Multiply the numbers by rounding off the first number to the nearest 1,000. So you're not going to do anything with the second number. Let's look at the example. 4,362 rounded off to the nearest 1,000. The 300 tells me that the 4,000 is going to remain the same. And then the 108 will not be rounded off. It's going to stay 108. But what's happening here is we are using the distributive method. Okay, so that is the method that I've explained to you or taught you in the previous lesson, or yesterday, you can say. Right, so what does that mean, distributive method? You have to break up the number, okay, into hundreds, tens, and units. So here we have 108. So we have hundreds, but there's no tens, and we have a unit, the 8. So you're going to split it up into 100 and 8. So 100 plus 8 equals 108. So now 4,000 will multiply separately with 100 and with 8, as you can see in this number line here. So put them in brackets. What you're going to do first, so 4,000 times 100 is 400,000, and 4,000 times 8 is 32,000, and then you add the two numbers together and you get your final answer of 432,000. Now we're going to apply that in this example. Right, so we round off. So remember, you only round off the first number, and the first number to the nearest 1,000. So what is the thousands here? It's 7,000, and the hundreds is represented by 400. This means that the 7 is going to stay the same. So 7,000 will be your answer, times, and then according to this method, the second number is going to remain the same. Now we're going to take this number 312 and we're going to break it up. 300 plus 10 plus 2. Okay, so now this means that 7,000 will multiply separately with 300, with 10, and with 2. So let me just write this line before we get to that part. So I'm just breaking it up. 300 plus 10 plus 2. And now 7,000 is going to multiply with each one of them separately. I'm going to use different colors. So 7,000 times 300. Then another color for 7,000 times 10. And then another color for 7,000 times 2. Okay. Right, so now we're going to multiply, and 7 times 3 is 21. And now remember, when you multiply these two numbers, look at how many zeros you will have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 21 with 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, leave a space. 4, 5, 21 in front of that. So it's 2,100,000. Okay, plus. And then 7,000 times 10 will be 70,000. Okay. And then 7,000 times 2 is 14,000. Right, so now you need to add them up as you see that, or you can just write them one under the other. 2,100,000 plus 70,000 plus 14,000. Add it up. So this is 0, 0, 0. And that will be 4. This will be 8. Then the 1 comes down and the 2 comes down. So it's 2,184,000. Or you can add up horizontally and you will get the same answer. Okay, so what did we do here? We only rounded off the first number to the nearest thousand. The second number remained the same. Then we used the distributive method, which means break up. So we broke up the number into the hundreds, tens, and units. And then we multiplied each one of them separately with 7,000. These are the answers which you added together, and then you reach your final answer. Okay, so let's go on to number 4. This is on page 93. Okay. Multiply the numbers by rounding off the second number to the nearest hundred. So the first number will not change. It's going to remain the same. So when you look at this 108 rounded off to the nearest hundred, that will become, or that will stay 100. So multiply with 100, you add 2 zeros. So the same digits, just with the 2 zeros at the back. So this will be 436,200. Right, so now let's use this method. So it says, just to remind myself again, what are we doing here? Multiply the numbers by rounding off the second number to the nearest hundred. So use your rounding off sign. The second number will change. The first number is going to stay the same. 8,542 times. And this one rounded off to the nearest hundred. The tens are the indicators, so the 1 tells me the 2 will stay the same, so it's 200. Okay. Now what you can do here is you can tell yourself, okay, these are big numbers. It can be a long multiplication. Think of 200 as 2 times 100. Okay. So instead of saying times 200, you can say times 2 times 100. So 8,542 times 2 times 100. Okay, so go calculate this on the side. 8,542 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10, 1 goes over, 8 times 2 is 16, plus the 1 is 17. So this part of the sum equals 17,080. And then I still need to multiply with that 100. So the 2 zeros will be added on at the back. So right from the back to the front, 1, 2 zeros, then the 4 is the next digit. Leave a space open for the thousands now. 807, and then space open for the millions. 1,708,400. Okay, so what did we do here? The first number remained the same. The second number was rounded off to the nearest 100, and then we just broke it up so that we can multiply easily. So we multiplied with 2 and then with 100, and then we found our final answer. Okay, then the last example, number 5, which is also on page 93. Okay, multiply the numbers by rounding off the first number and the second number to the nearest 100. So the first and the second number to the nearest 100. Right, so let's look at the example. 4,362 times 108. So go find the hundreds. There's 300 and there's a 100. Next to that 300 there is the 6 for 60. So that tells me that 300 is going to become 400. It's going to round up. So that's why we see 4,400. And then this one, there's no tens next to it. There's a 0, which means it stays the same. It will remain 100. Then when you multiply the 2, you'll end up with 440,000. Right, so let's use this method. So first number and second number to the nearest 100. So identify the hundreds. There's a 500 and there's a 300. What's next to it? The tens. Okay, so the 10 here is 20 and there's also 20, which tells me it's going to stay the same. 6,500 times 300. Okay, and now we're going to calculate. Also, like I did with the previous sum, 6,500 is the same as saying 65 times 100, because you can see 2 zeros there and 100 has 2 zeros. And 300 is also equal to 3 times 100. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 65 and 3 first. 65 times 3, and then that answer I will multiply with the 100 that comes from the 6,500 and with the 100 that comes from the 300. If you look over here, you will see that. Okay, so then calculate on the side 65 times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15, and 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So that is 195 times, and 100 times 100 equals 10,000. So then my answer will have, we're going to say 195 times 1 is the same, and we're going to add on the numbers at the end. So you're going to have 4 zeros in your answer. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Then you've got the 5, the 9, and the 1. So it's 1,950,000. Okay, so what did we do in this example? We rounded both numbers off to the nearest 100. Okay, so then your homework, page 92 to 93 in your DBE book, I want you to round off, use that method, not your own, and then check your answer with a calculator after completing your work. Okay, I hope you understand the work. I hope you are doing well with your maths, and have a very nice day.